Well, I'm super glad to be here with y'all today. It's wonderful to see everybody. It's wonderful to see all of the people that I know and love and who love me in return. That is a priceless gift. Well, today I want to talk about new beginnings. This keeps happening to me. I think I know what I want to talk about, and then God happens, and everything comes to a screeching halt, and then we do something completely different. So, a new year is quickly approaching, and I'm honestly not sure how I feel about that. There are so many things that I would do differently, and so many things that I hope for in the coming year. I'm relatively certain that you can all sympathize. This is such an interesting time of year this week between Christmas and New Year's. It's a time of wild contrasts. It's both exciting, we get presents, we get to see people, we celebrate, all right? But it's also overwhelming because we get to see people and we get to celebrate, and those things can get overwhelming. It can be glorious, okay, with the birth of Christ, but it can also be very stressful when we try to balance all of the things that are going on in this week. It can be filled with the recent joys of family and friends, but also a lingering loneliness caused by loved ones who were missing. The old year is dying, but the new year is not yet born. This week before the end of one year and the beginning of another is when I most excruciatingly feel the limits of our humanity, as we seem stuck between an unreachable past year and an unknowable future year. It's the ultimate human dilemma, trapped as we are in an ever-present moment with a past we can remember but not reach, and a future we cannot know, and which unfolds minute by minute in an inescapable present. I'm sorry if this sounds a little bit depressing or macabre, but blame Dr. Sneed because he's been taking us through Ecclesiastes, okay? And I now have fallen in love with it, and I wish that everyone could have been here for the months that we spent digging so deeply into this incredible text. But it's got all of these things going on in my mind. So we have this time of year that just brings all of my limited humanity roaring back to stare me in the face and say, well, now what, Carole? The medieval Italian poet Dante Alighieri, in a poetic exploration of hell titled The Inferno, appropriately, The Inferno, describes the upper level of hell as limbo, a place between hell proper, the lower levels, and the upper world. It is a place of lostness or intense longing. For Dante, this longing was the soul's desire to be one with God. As Christians, we experience this same longing, brought into sharp relief for me at this time of year. I feel a deepened sense of a need for renewal, a fresh start, a do-over, if you will, a chance to create a new beginning. Can we, as humans, even do that? Living in a relentless present with no true access either backwards to the past nor forwards to the future. We only have the right now, this moment. So, what are we to do with this limbo life we are living? Our time between the past and the future, this between time of the present moment. Well, I say that we take advantage of one of the greatest gifts given to humanity, and that gift is the ability to choose exactly what we will do with each and every present moment. And I'm thinking a truly new beginning to a truly new year sounds absolutely grand. But how is that even possible? Have you ever wanted to just start over, begin again, have a do-over? I know I have, many, many times. Perhaps when one of my precious newborn infant daughters chose the Sunday morning when I finally managed to get out of bed and put on makeup to projectile vomit over my shoulder and down the back of the only dress that currently fit me. Definitely a morning I'd love to start over. Or maybe the 1,000,001 times I engaged my mouth before checking with my brain and said something that deeply hurt a friend or a loved one. Talk about a do-over moment, a need to begin again. Well, fortunately for us, our God is the author of all new beginnings. And we have the extraordinary gift of choosing whether or not to accept one. Stuck as we are in a present moment, we really can't create them for ourselves. They have to be authored by the only one who can transcend that lock of the present moment that we as humans find ourselves in. So we have this extraordinary gift of choosing whether or not we're going to accept these new beginnings, and I have an S on this on purpose because they happen over and over and over. But we have to choose it, to exercise our God-given free will to let God create for us a truly new year, a truly new beginning. What I want to do now is kind of explore this idea of God as the author of all new beginnings. I want to explore that by walking through a few passages about new beginnings. Oh, look, that worked. What? Okay, the first one I want to look at is Ezekiel 36:26. And I will give you a new heart, and a new spirit I will put within you, and I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. I don't know about y'all, I think probably it's kind of a human experience, but occasionally I feel like my heart is heavy and my heart is like a stone. I feel like I'm not in a place where I can accept these gifts or these good things that God wants to give me. But we are promised here that God will do that. A new heart, a new beginning, a whole new heart, a new spirit, a whole new spirit. And God will put those within us. He will author that new heart and that new spirit within us, and he will author a new heart of flesh and remove that heart of stone. I chose this picture because it's one of the most incredible things that I have seen in my travels. And it's this incredible rock formation that has been made beautiful by the things growing on it and the change that it's going through and the water that is next to it and the vegetation and the greens that are all around it. And I thought this was a beautiful image of this idea of taking something of stone and molding it and making it beautiful, making it something new. The next one that I thought was interesting that I wanted to look at is 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old is gone, and the new is here. So, the new creation has come. That's past tense. That means it's already happened. Okay? I am a new creation. Whether I realize it or not, whether I'm still thinking about that time that I went to the wrong class, okay? Whether I'm thinking about the time that I made my husband, he doesn't really cry, but I hurt his feelings really deeply. And I didn't mean to, but that doesn't matter. I did, okay? I think of those things. But what I need to do is choose to accept this new creation that God has already given me, right? The old is gone, like Jared was talking about, like the kids were talking about. The old is gone, the new is here. I find that incredibly, challenging and exciting all at the same time. Another passage, I think, that gives us some idea of this idea of God as the author of all new beginnings is Ephesians 4:22 through 24. You were taught, with regard to your former way of life, to put off your old self, which is being by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. Instead of something that God is doing in this passage, this is something that we are doing. All right? This is the idea of God can give us something, but we still have to take it. All right? We have to accept it. We have to bring it into our heart, into our mind. And I love this idea of being made new in the attitude of your mind. Well, this is a part in this process that we can take part in. That is something that we can choose to do. Emphasize the good, all right? Make an attitude of praise. That's one thing I've been trying to do in my own personal study time, is just not start off with, God, please do these things, but start off with just listing as many good things as I can. All right, thank you that I got up this morning. Thank you that my husband, is still here and still loves me. Just anything that I can grasp onto, all right? I have a warm home. I have friends. I have this church. I have these people, all right? And I have to change the attitude of my mind. And I think that's part of where our present moment that we have, that's all we have, comes into the process of God creating new beginnings. Because we can't create the new beginnings, but we can accept them and embrace them and be thankful for them. And we do that with our minds, all right, with retraining our minds, like Jared was talking about, retraining our minds to think about the good things, all right? Because, as it says, we are created to be like God in righteousness and holiness. That both excites me and terrifies me. All right? I really, that I think is something that every single moment for the rest of my life I could work at making true, that I could embrace and accept. Not the easiest thing to do. All right, and this last one. I thought this was a really great way to end this discussion, especially since I'm all off in the Ecclesiastes side of my brain. And this idea of time as relative. But there's this us in the middle and the past. And don't you hate that we can remember the past, but we can't go back there? That's so frustrating. Right? That drives me insane. I can remember all these things from the past, but I can't go back and take away the hurt that I did to people. I can't go back and reproduce good things even that happened in the past. That is unreachable for me. All right? And the future is just going to unfold as it does, one moment at a time. And whatever God's plan is, it's going to happen one moment at a time. And that's something that we have to understand and accept and truly, truly live in. And this week between Christmas and New Year's, every year that hits me, right? We're done with Christmas, but we haven't started a new year. There's this blank set of 1 week, okay, where everything is topsy-turvy for me. And then I start thinking back about, what am I doing in this moment? What is this little set of time here, right? What's going on with all of the contradictions that happen during this time? But this verse comforts me more than anything. It says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. You know, I feel kind of like, again, like we're in this limbo that is our life, and there is this something before and this something after, but all we have is this right here. But God has it all. God has the beginning and the middle and the end. God has the first and the last. All I have to do is accept what God gives me in this moment. And I think within that is where comfort and peace and joy and expectation of good things and thankfulness, I think that's where that lives. And I think we can let God take care of the things around if we will take care of our minute, our moment, our second that we have to choose what it is that we do, what it is that we think, what it is that we say. I'll end with a blessing. May we each choose to let God, our God, hold us in the palm of his hand and give us a truly new heart, a deep sense of renewal, and a truly new beginning in this coming year. Did I put it in this one? As we transition now into a time of communion, I urge you to remember why it is that we share this time every week. It is, I believe, among many other things, a reminder that we are constantly renewed, reborn, begun anew over and over by the sacrifice of Christ, and through his blood and broken body, we can once again be made whole, given a brand new beginning.